The Anchor. Topical issues. All right, every year, the World Economic Forum publishes the Global Competitiveness Report, and every year, results indicate that part of the reason why Botswana struggles to be competitive in the global economic space is because of its low productivity levels. Notwithstanding all the other factors, and there's quite a number of them that may be influencing this situation, could employee engagement, which is an important driver of organizational success, be one of the main factors that are pulling Botswana down? If it is, what is it that can be done to raise Botswana's work ethic to optimal competitive levels? We delve a bit deeper into this and explore this aspect of organizational development, and we're joined tonight by experts in the area of employee engagement, and they're right here in front of me here, but they'll also be taking your questions. I'll be engaging them. You can call in 3956962, or you can text 14962. The experts I'm talking about is Ms. Leah Gwangwa as well as Mr. Moses Ngorima, Senior Consultant and Principal Consultant in that order at HROD Africa. Ma'am, good evening and welcome to Business Hour on GabzFM.
Good evening.
And Moses, to you as well. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Gabriel, and good evening to you listeners.
I like just starting by asking how your day was. Let's start with you, Megwangwa. How was your day today?
Short.
Yeah? There was so much to do.
There's so much exciting stuff to do.
Oh, that's exciting as well with you, sir. Is that the case?
Our days are always short because we are doing the things that we love to do.
I'm sure there's someone who's out there who's saying, I wonder if I can have a short day, and today I'm going to learn how to have that day. But in any case, just maybe to validate that you are experts, kindly maybe tell us who you are and what you do at this stage.
Thanks for having us on the show, Gabriel, and thank you, listeners, for finding time to be with us. My name is Moses Ngorima, as Gabriel has said. We come from a company called HROD Africa, which has been operating in Botswana for the past 11 years. Our work involves assisting organizations to improve productivity, to accomplish their important goals. And to do this, we help with strategy development, organizational design and restructuring, the introduction of performance management system and the implementation thereof. And, the one that's close to our heart is working with organizations, improve and unleash, their talents, and that's what we would like to share, with you, Gabriel.
So productivity is the number one service at your business.
It is.
Why
yes.
though? Why are you so interested in improving productivity in this country?
Look, my background, I've been working for the past from 1980, 35 years, close to 36 years, and my background is in the private sector. I've worked for, seven companies in manufacturing, engineering. I've also done a stint in retail, and in my life, coming from a private sector perspective, industry, it is about profit. It is about achieving goals, and so this is what drives me. And at an individual level, I have a talent for achievement, and I would like to share, tools and techniques for improving ourselves and improving our performance.
And I can imagine that in your work area, you understand very well that productivity is an issue that encompasses both the employer and the employee here, how they engage within their workspace.
Indeed.
What would be an optimal working environment for an employer and an employee?
I would propose that the optimal working environment would be where, both parties are achieving their goals. The organization has its strategic objectives and goals and would like to accomplish those. The employee also has their own goals, and this could include growth. It could include, learning. And of course, it includes, getting remuneration, fair remuneration, which would help them, pay their bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when we bring this engagement, especially particularly employee engagement, because employees really pull the resources together, they make things happen. Maybe for the benefit of this discussion, we could maybe define what employee engagement is at this stage. I don't know if you are able to do that, Megwangwa.
Yes, thank you, Gabriel. I'm going to do that by describing the kinds of things that people do when they are at a variety of levels of engagement. We speak, and I refer very much to the Global Workplace Report. I'll speak in those terms. We speak about engaged employees. Engaged employees, they will bring their whole passion to work. They will bring their whole selves to work, and they are strongly bound to the mission of the organization.
So they are present.
They are there.
The lights are on and they are there.
Oh, yes, they are all there. Versus the people that are disengaged, who just taking a timesheet. These are the guys who will come in a little bit late, leave a little bit early, take away a little bit. These are the sort of the people in the middle. And you have the actively disengaged, who will even undo some of the work that is done by the engaged employees. So it's all about bringing the whole person to their role.
So basically, this sounds like we have three kinds of employees.
Yes, engaged.
The engaged, the disengaged,
yes,
and who are in the middle.
You've got the actively disengaged at the bottom.
How do you notice that your environment at the workplace, if you are an employer, has such people?
Gabriel, I believe you can't ask about whether this one is engaged or disengaged. They show. They come to work and all your stakeholders are happy. The customers are happy when an engaged employee comes back from leave. They say, welcome back. It's great to have you back. So you can, in terms of their delivery, their results speak for themselves, their relationships with others speak for themselves, the energy they bring, the innovation they bring, the sacrifice they bring to the world of work. It's just different.
Rengorim, I imagine that then those who are maybe actively disengaged here are those who would say, at times, maybe, because we hear that a lot sometimes.
Yes.
Am I right to imagine that?
Yeah.
So how does this then reflect on the work ethic of such people and the work ethic that now needs to be to show up in organizations so that maybe productivity can rise a little?
Yeah. There are people like BNPC, who are working with this big problem of work ethic. And, they are doing training. They have various interventions lined up for this. And they've profiled the traits that are required of, a person with good work ethic, things like integrity, things like accountability, responsibility, taking ownership, respect for time, and so on and so forth. And all these are good behaviors. So I think the starting point would be, when you see the people that are engaged, they are likely to be in the flow. When you look at how they perform, you say this person is a master. So it could be a musician, who is in flow. It could be a painter. It could be a singer. It could be someone at the front line who is serving customers. They are present. They are conscious. When you come in, they greet you. They are looking at you right from the beginning of the transaction to, the end of the transaction. And we all have horror stories. And so how, the two, employee engagement and work ethic, how are they related? I propose that if we align people to work according to their strengths, they require less supervision, their motivation is internal, they are self-starting. Picture this. Can you drive innovation and creativity if you don't like the work that you are doing? if you find the work that you are doing difficult, stressing, and distasteful, clearly, all you can do is go through the motions, do enough, not to get fired. But you can't enthuse and you can't be creative.
But what happens if that is what you can afford at that moment? I mean, these things play out, and those are people you can only attract because maybe of what you can afford to pay them.
Yeah. I for one, would agree with you that pay is important. But I worked with one young man, just to give you an example. He so loved, the IT work and user support. And I give this person as an example to say he's the kind of guy who would walk into GabzFM and say, listen, if you give me an opportunity to, help people with their computer problems, I can pay you GabzFM. Just for the opportunity to be doing what I love, what comes easily to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a self-starter.
Yeah, it's a self-starter. So no amount of money, will motivate an individual.
But Megwangwa, in the current age, amount of money is usually first. The work environment has shifted. You have what we now call millennials. I mean, we read a lot about their characteristics outside Botswana, but we have them here. And their characteristics and their attitude towards work are not similar to those that they find. How has this shifted then the employee engagement space in Botswana, if I may ask? I don't know if you have done any surveys in this country.
We haven't done any surveys in this country, but suffice to say, millennials, from the work that I have seen done elsewhere, looked at the research. Millennials, like you and I, want to be given meaningful work. That's a very big one for millennials. And work means a lot to you, is meaningful to you when it's aligned. You'll find that if it's aligned with, what you do well, because when you work, when you get to do what you do best naturally, then the work becomes so enjoyable that, the idea of going home and leaving work really doesn't appeal.
But then how do you get over the culture? And I'm bringing it back here home again. Just do, it's a job. Then you have someone who comes to work because there was motivation maybe from home or from friends to say, it's not the same as you just staying at home. Just take the job.
Yeah. That is definitely something that we say to our children. I'm from that from that generation. Me and my mother have said this to each other. Mm-hmm. But look where it got us. So we can continue along that trajectory, or we can take the time. It takes time to find the right person to put into the right job, right? Mm-hmm. And once you've got that fit, once you've got people working to their natural talents, then you really have literally an unstoppable team. You've got an unstoppable team member. So if you can imagine somebody who works to their strengths, everybody, people who get to do what they do best every day. In fact, that's one of the questions that is asked in the Gallup Q12 employee engagement survey. Question 3 says, every day I get to do what I do best at work.
But it sounds like all the pie in the sky when you now bring it inside the office. It really sounds difficult to put it together. Who has time? I'm sure there is a business executive right now who says, I don't have time to go through all of that. How do we go around that situation and assist an executive who says, I don't have time to start matching people to their skills and to my work. I just want people to get stuff done, and that's it. Yeah. That's all I'm looking for.
If I might come in, I was working with a team just last week out of town, and I was saying to the team of managers, I was saying, look, most of us, are not comfortable with the messy side of things, people's feelings, people's needs, people's expectations. What some of us are comfortable with is the development of a strategy. So we have this strategy, we develop structures, and we set goals, and therefore people should just, because the goals are clear and we have talked about them, and therefore people should accomplish those goals. Nothing can be further to the truth than that, because what you have, all those hard issues, are the tip of the iceberg. What lies underneath are people's aspirations, are people's needs. People need to be treated. Leah was talking about meaning. At some point, every one of us, ask themselves, what was I brought to do on earth? So every one of us wants meaningful work, wants, to manifest the glory of God by contributing according to the talents, that they were born with. And therefore, focusing on the, rational side of the business, which most executives are likely to do. And forgetting that people are people. You are not likely to accomplish your goals. That is why, we have issues of work ethic. Work ethic is not something that you pour into a person or encourage or preach to a person, to have a better work ethic. Everyone has talent, and that talent is lying dormant. Mm-hmm. So the responsibility of a good leader is to unearth that talent, to remove, the cataracts which are causing strength blindness, and making sure that the person realizes not only their worth but their potential, and helping them apply their natural talents to solve, the business problems. We all hear that people are being asked to accomplish more with less. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you ask business executives, what percent of the individual's potential and capacity are you tapping into? They'll probably say 15%.
Some people,
so you can see a disconnect right there.
Yeah, some people will blame the education system and say the education system keeps throwing at us people who are just not in the mold that you are describing right now.
Yeah, I would agree. So here is what Leah and I
So what
think.
sort of education then do we need? The one that will produce people who are market ready, or the one that will produce a worldly, wide-opened, open-minded person who's able to fit wherever they are supposed to fit, but still deliver at a level that's required?
Yeah. Open-mindedness is great, for operating in a globally competitive world. But fundamentally, it's about our education. You see, our education, and Leah will tell you about the analogy of stars and a ball.
Okay.
That
I can't wait to hear that one.
We want our children to be good at math, at geography, at English. And if our child comes with 70% in geography, 80% in English, and 40% in math, where does our attention go? Obviously to mathematics. Uh-huh. But do you make a mathematician out of someone who gets 40%, or you can get an English professor from someone who gets 70%? It is easier. You build on strengths, weakness fixing, which is how we are naturally wired, is getting us this problem of work ethic and so on.
So trying to get a round peg to go into a square hole.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, wow.
Indeed.
Right. So the analogy, let's hear it. I think it's out here now, so it can't go back.
This is one that just came up in the middle of a work session.
Okay.
Yes. I was talking about the idea of people working to strengths. Like Moses was saying, if somebody is getting 40% in English versus someone who's getting 70% in English, the English professor is likely to come out of the 70%. When you work, all the research of people who have been successful in what they do, I'm thinking of the Richard Bransons, the Oprah Winfreys. These are people who are not well-rounded. These are people who know that they are brilliant at some things and not so brilliant at others. So if you look at a star, stars have points, yes?
Yes.
They have high points and low points. Can you see this?
Indeed.
And these are people who are working to their strengths, yes? Versus the way we've traditionally tended to be. And I'm thinking, in stars, I'm thinking of strengths-based development. But the traditional way of developing people, we say, we want you to be well-rounded. Mr. Gabriel
Rasingwatsi.
Rasingwatsi.
Yes.
Mr. Rasingwatsi, we have 10 competencies. We want you to be good in all of those. Competency 1 up to 7, we are happy. You've got 6 and above, or 5 and above. These other competencies, 8, 9, and 10, you are scoring 1s, 2s, and 3s. Don't worry about the first 7. We want you to focus your development plan. We want to put together a personal development plan around your bottom 3. Yes? And so we end up saying we want well-rounded executives. We want you to get 5s and 6s in all 10 of them. That's well-rounded.
In the language of today, you want us to kill it.
Yeah.
Kill it.
Yeah.
That's today's language.
Yeah.
We don't want well-rounded doesn't work well. Look where it got us. And so we're saying, allow me to be to work in the area where I'm strong, and where he's strong, let him be the lead person there.
All right. So join us 3956962 or text us 14962. Are these some of the things you are struggling with in your organization? Employee engagement. We'll talk a bit more on how you actually build up an employee engagement survey, maybe to start finding out your strengths. You're speaking a lot about strengths and weaknesses here. Mostly the strengths of your employees. So you can engage us. Ask any question you might have, even any HR question. The experts are here. Let's do that. 14962 for your text messages, or 3956962. We are going to a short break. When we come back, we continue. Indeed, we continue at 6:40 in the evening. Remember, we are going all the way until 7 p.m. this evening. Every year, the World Economic Forum publishes the Global Competitiveness Report. And every year, results indicate that part of the reason why Botswana struggles to be competitive in the global economic space is because of its low productivity levels, horrible work ethic sometimes, but notwithstanding all the other factors that may be influencing the situation, could employee engagement, something that we've been talking about thus far, which is an important driver of organizational success, be one of the main factors that are pulling Botswana down? If it is, what is it that can be done to raise Botswana's work ethic to optimal competitive levels? So we delve a bit deeper into this and explore this aspect of organizational development. And you've heard thus far to our experts tonight, Ms. Leah Gwangwa as well as Mr. Moses Ngorima, both senior consultant and principal consultant in that order at the HROD Africa. Join us, 3956962. I saw that while we were on that break, some of you were trying to call. So do that, or you can text us 14962. Before we continue quickly, you wanted to add a bit of dimension to what you touched a bit on this evening. Please do that. Let's hear a little bit more about what you want to share.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gabriel. I wanted to just look at the numbers for Botswana in terms of engaged versus not engaged to actively engaged.
The three employees that we have.
Employees we have in Botswana.
Yes, okay.
10% engaged. These are the guys that come in
that
their
really
full glory.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it slay?
10%.
10%.
Yes. Those are the slayers.
The slayers are 10%. And then not engaged is 52%. And therein lies our opportunity to move them to the engaged slayers. And then at the end, we have 38% actively disengaged. These are the people that I said earlier on. 38% disengaged. These are the guys that can even undo the work that the 10% does. Yes? And so I wanted to just say, it does sound like doom and gloom, but it's actually not quite that bad because...
Well, it is. Look at this bell curve.
It is bad. The result is bad, but what I'm saying, it's not doom and gloom, is that there are things that can be done. And we would like to share one of those, and it's all around working to your strengths.
So, hang on, before we go there, these are very interesting statistics. I'm trying to imagine here. In an office where there are 10 people, we are looking at a statistic where we are saying at least...
one is slaying, one is engaged.
Just one?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Bring
one.
10%.
Well, that was for dramatic effect, the silence. So.
And I think that is, and if it's any consolation, that the number is 9% in our neighboring South Africa. 46% not engaged, a whopping 45% actively disengaged. These are the guys that are there. They are there, but they are preparing, but disemmele, and to clock in and do enough just not to get fired. And if they can take away this class at the end of the day, they'll be quite happy to do so. Thank you very much. Versus those who will look after the resources of the company. These are the 10% are the ones who will be found saying, Gabriel, we have too many lights on in this room. Surely we can do with less so that we can save money on mutakase. Those are
we can print less. We can print at the back of a used page.
Who understand the relationship between the cost line and the revenue line, that can do things to push up the revenue line and down the cost line, that understand what makes their business tick. Even if they are the housekeeper in the organization, they'll understand those things.
Let's take a call. This is really shocking. I'm absolutely shocked right now. GabzFM, you alive? Dumela, how are you?
I'm fine, yourself.
Irra.
Tumelo. You know, the problem that I saw, more commenting, they took white-collar jobs priority then. I'm a mechanic.
Okay.
So, none of the repulse the school. So I go there. I have a school to one of my son could be sharing. But we did it.
Okay, so
and then,
so basically, white collar jobs were given priority over.
No, it's true. It's very true. Very true.
All right. No, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, cheers, man.
All right.
Cheers, man.
So now we have this perspective here that white collar jobs are given priority. Now it sidelines maybe blue collar jobs. How does that affect then our delivery as a country?
Yeah, Gabriel. This comment goes to the heart of, what we are talking about when we talk about work ethic. We propose that education be aligned to individual strength, and this is what positive psychology is all about. We have schools like, and we are not knocking any other type of school. We have schools like Brookwell's Montessori in Cloqueng, based on positive psychology. We have, I remember when I went to study for my accelerated coaching program in Nebraska. When we got there, there were 12 of us, and 7 of the participants were coming from universities and colleges. And these were career guidance advisors, lecturers, and administrators. And what they were doing was to learn how to provide, the necessary career guidance to students, so that the students would align their studies and therefore align their careers according to their strength. So, and I was talking to someone from South Africa who attended the same program last year. I attended my program in 2014. And he was saying this time there were 25 participants and almost 20 were from universities. So clearly, the Americans are seeing the value of catching people young and putting them into the stream of strength-based development.
So the paces they can handle, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Megwangwa, your statistics, they're still...
Is your head spinning?
Yeah, they still are, because I'm wondering the implications of such a scenario here for Botswana when it comes to our productivity.
It's no surprise that our productivity is what it is. But I just wanted to add to the point that Retumelo had raised, that we all arrive on this earth with our little fists tight like this. The old ladies will tell you at home that if a child is born and they don't have their fists like this, then there's trouble. The child may not survive for very long. And they say the fists in the fists are talents that the child has brought to the world. So everyone brings them, whether it's white collar, blue collar, and everything in between. All of us have them. And it is the job of the leader to excavate them, as it were. And a great leader is the one that makes time to get to know them and get the team member to point them in a direction where they can contribute to the company's results or the results or whatever it is.
Someone has asked a critical question here, and I think it's one of those questions that you really reflect on. How do I know if I'm engaged or not? Now, personalizing it.
How do I know if I'm engaged or not?
Yes.
Thank you. Do they have a name? Have they written
No, they don't
name?
have a name, but yeah.
Okay, Mutokaina. At the individual level, you will know you are engaged and working to your strengths when you have higher levels of energy and vitality, when you are more innovative, when you are more confident in what you are doing. You are doing what you do best all the time. You are less stressed. Yes, you are less stressed when you are working in your strength zone. You are more effective in terms of your self-development and growth, that you are not waiting for someone to come and do anything. Then you know that you are engaged. Just a general idea at the individual level.
Let's take a call here. GabzFM, you're live. Hello. Say, how are you?
Yeah, fine.
Erra.
I want to ask your guest two questions.
Erra.
In Botswana's perspective, is employment in Botswana a need or a want?
Okay, employment,
that's
a need.
Question number one.
Okay.
I'm asking this question in reference to employee engagement, because if it's a need, is it you have to engage the employee? But if it's a want, you can do it at your own way.
Okay.
Question number two is about employee engagement. Does it also include your employees, are they manageable? Giving the example here, the government, they have got a lot of employees which runs into 100,000. How can you effectively and efficiently manage them?
Okay.
Compared to the private sector where they have 50.
Okay, at a time. All right. No, thank you very much, sir, and keep listening to GabzFM, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we are almost running out of time here quickly, but these are imperative questions. Is employment a need or a want? It brings into question here the attitude of someone who starts by applying for a job.
If I could take that, I remember I said, people, we need meaning, we need purpose in our lives, and through employment, some of that need is covered. You get to contribute, you get to make a meaningful contribution in employment. It's a good platform for doing that.
When you say that, I need to also ask here, what is the impact of validation? You are noticing my effort in the office when it comes to work ethic.
It is important. It is critical. In fact, the late Stephen Covey said the role of leadership is to affirm the worth and potential of an individual.
So you have to constantly say, I notice what you're doing.
Indeed.
It's not necessarily an issue of, I will increase your money, then you feel better.
Yeah.
You just need to validate that.
It's about recognition.
Recognition.
Yeah.
Okay. The second question then, the employment engagement. When the staff turnover is large, is it easier to manage, or is it an issue of having smaller groups, or how do you work around it?
When we work with teams to help them to understand their strengths, see where the team is strong, where the team is struggling. But obviously, teams are made of individuals. So before we work with a team, we'd work with the individual to help them to understand very intimately what their strengths are. And once they understand their strengths and they're able to work to their strengths, because the team leader's job is to make sure that indeed they assign them work which is aligned with their strengths, then it becomes, so it is a two-way street. You can see this. So Luena, you'll get up and say...
So you get feedback instantly.
Yes, you do. But the person is a lot more engaged with what they're doing, because now they understand where they're strong. They know they can help over there. They can put their hand up to go and volunteer over there, because although maybe it's outside their department, they can do brilliantly there and come out of there feeling fantastic. So there isn't such a big need for like irritating, breathing down the neck kind of of supervision. So even where the span is a little bit bigger, when the individuals themselves are starting, then they but you use
It's
the word.
easier.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah, it's easier for them to work to their strengths like that.
We've run clean out of time for this evening. We've had a great deal of fun, yes. But before which system would you recommend at this stage for someone who's interested maybe in using systems? I know particularly there's a system I like very much, the Holacracy system. I don't know if you've heard about it, but maybe you as experts, there's a system that you know, and there's a system that you have developed yourselves. What systems do you know that maybe someone could use, and what sort of solutions do you have for a business executive, for a policy maker somewhere who's listening to this conversation right now, who says, I need those solutions in my organization?
Thanks. That's a good question. In terms of employee engagement, there is an accessible one and a good one too, sold by Gallup. And they've made it accessible even for small to medium enterprises. All one needs to do is go online and look up Gallup, and they'll sell you units for the number of employees that you have.
Okay.
And you can run the survey yourself, but make sure you do something about the survey, the results coming out of the survey.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get fatigue.
I will have to give you 20 seconds for this, because these are now late text messages and there are questions. Just a quick one, though. Okay. What do I do with someone who's leading a unit, but all they're interested in is meetings and workshops only, and is not into the work produced by staff? The attitude of a manager or a team leader here. If it's misplaced, what do you do?
It could... From a strength-based development, it could be that this is in their shadow. It's in their blind spot. Uh-huh. So the thing to do would be to get someone to help that person realize that they are too one-sided.
Okay. Tunnel vision, sort of.
Yeah.
Another one says, hello, employee engagement are said to be balope by colleagues, and it demotivates others. Is that true? So those who are showing up and actually putting out all their best, they're called Malope. Yes. And this person says that tends to demotivate people. Is this true?
I can imagine it being like that, especially where the leader perhaps is not doing such a good job of pulling everybody up. It means the Malope are the 10%, I suppose. This is what they're calling the Malope, being called by the rest of the organization. And the thing I would say to do is to work with that middle part where I said that's where the most opportunity lives.
52%. My gosh.
The 52%, when they know what their strengths are and they work to their strengths, they will bring themselves to work and say, I want to do that.
Okay. In summary, Megwangwa, just quickly, 20 seconds.
Yes.
Let's summarize what we discussed tonight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is absolutely critical for every leader to get themselves to get to know their own strengths first, so they know where they are good and they know where they are not. And that way they are strong enough to be able to cascade that thinking to say, even I have areas where I'm not strong. How do I then get to know how to lead my team in such a way that I let them bring their very best to work and work to their strengths, get to do something that they do best every day. So working to people's strengths is our hope of improving that engagement and their work ethic and all the good things that it does for our economy in terms of global competitiveness.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leah Gwangwa and Mr. Moses Ngorima, Senior Consultant and Principal Consultant in that order at HROD Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabriel, and thank you to
Yeah.
the audience.